Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of Tam's story. We are going to pick up where we left off with a little bit of abbreviation. The last thing that happened was you sang for the fiddler with Taunus in presence to it. And why don't you roll me an insight check?
Okay. Sight. Oh, that's pretty good. 21.
Taunus seems thoughtful. And beyond that, she seems... It's almost like there's a hint of maybe it's jealousy.
Huh.
It's an emotion that's hard to place, at least on her face. It's one you haven't seen before.
Okay. I think he'll look up at her and say, "Hey, are you okay?" I know it's probably weird being in a room with gods, including the one you're hiding from.
I'm fine. Your relationship with your deity is very different from the one that I had when I was growing up.
If it makes you feel any better, I grew up with Magos, and Magos is great, but I didn't have the same kind of relationship with him. I think, I think sometimes the god chooses you, and sometimes you choose the god, and I think it's, maybe the ones that you're born with aren't really always the ones that are for you, you know?
Well, that does make sense. I worry that we are not always chosen by the ones we would hope.
Yeah, it seems like if you have to hide from yours, that seems about right.
Hide is a strong word. Avoid, maybe. Evade?
Fade.
Dodge? Is that better?
I think you're avoiding it.
Oh, yes. I am counting on this place to keep me safe. So I really need to finish my training here quickly.
It's good at that, this place.
That's what I hear.
But hey, for what it's worth, you seem pretty good at keeping yourself safe. I mean, I know you can't from like all things at once, but seems like you're getting pretty good at that too.
Well, I have a knack for it seems.
I couldn't take you from the fight, that's for sure.
Is this a challenge? Would you like to find out?
No, I just said I couldn't.
Well,
I wouldn't put money on me.
perhaps you'll grow to surprise even yourself, Tim.
Maybe.
But for now, no, I wouldn't put money on you. I believe Sigona's likely waiting for us.
Yeah, let's go.
So, the two of you head to the Mairie Guard.
Yes.
To abbreviate, you have a pleasant evening, at least as pleasant as it can be. Much of your time with Sigona and Taunus is spent, well, taking the piss out of each other. But you do also talk about Kana. Sigona reveals that her and Kana were best friends. She talks about who Kana was in much more detail than you knew. You learn Kana grew up on Zephyr, in a mountain town, where she was the town gossip and likely was chased out of the town in order to stop her spreading rumors about everybody. She had this sort of problematic personality that was likable, but could cause waves. You perhaps knew that much about her, and the fact that she was a fan of attention. But that's not something that, Tam is a stranger to.
Yeah, right.
As you go through the evening and you process the grief of losing your friend and you talk about her and your experience that you had with her, and you learn more about who she was. More and more of the night becomes hard to remember, as I'd like you to roll me a con save.
Sure. Can I also ask? There was a Tam was trying to look into if she worshipped a god. Um, did she worship Dilo? I think someone had mentioned Dilo. That is a 6. Tam is drunk.
You are very drunk. Kana was a follower of Dilo. Yes. Many who are born in regions that are more close to nature, but are not actually like rangers or druid circles or those sorts of things. Many genasi or dwarves and such that are close to the elements, they find themselves akin with Dilo. And she seems to be comfortable in looking over all of them. At least that's what Sagona tells you.
What else? Do I know, like, if I were going to make an offering to Dilo, do I have an idea of what that would, what a good thing, what would be things to do for that? I can roll religion and also ask Sagona if she
This
knows
would be
anything.
a religion roll.
That's what I figured. Oh, okay. Not bad. 19.
An offering to Dilo would be something pure.
Something pure. Like pure water? Pure gold?
It could be gold, it could be water, it could be stone, it could be crystal, it could be anything that you deem as pure and worthy.
Okay. I think, especially as he gets drunker, Tam would propose to Sagona that they should figure out an offering to give to Dilo on behalf of Kana.
Sagona would agree and say that when they had time the next day, they should search for something that would fit her requirements.
That would fit the requirements, and also, like, I think Tam would leave it to Sagona because Sagona was her best friend to sort of know what would be the thing that would speak to Dilo but would also speak, like, of Kana.
Yeah.
Seems like maybe air or something light and airy, something like that.
That is not a bad idea. And Sagona seems, while she is very drunk, she seems enthusiastic about the idea.
Cool. Cool. So they can, like, maybe make plans to go, like, offering hunting the next day.
Yeah. We can say that you basically decided to, after class, go and find an offering for Kana. Other than that, your evening at the tavern was as pleasant as it can be. Tanis spent the evening drinking, but also listening. She didn't know Kana very well, so she didn't have much to add, but she would be a listening ear the whole night. She does, at one point, after drinking a lot, mention the methods of mourning the dead that is natural to where she comes from, which is fairly gruesome. And with a 6 con save, I'm going to say you don't remember it.
Amazing. That's fabulous.
So, that night, after your time spent at the tavern, how would Tam sleep?
I think if he were less drunk, he would sleep less well.
Sure.
But he is pretty drunk, so I feel like he's pretty drunk. I don't think he's gonna drink a lot of water beforehand. I don't think he's thinking about that. I think he's just gonna kind of crawl into bed and
Okay.
pass out.
Give me another con save.
Okay. Roll for hangover. Better. 21.
You have a very, very slight hangover. It's more like just a mild headache. The sort of thing you can Not easily, but you can absolutely push through it and cope.
Okay, good. It's good to know.
No nausea, no echo chamber, nothing like that.
It's good news. This is very good news, especially because I imagine this is the day that Tam has to go back to classes.
Yes. You've
So,
awoken at 5:30 in the morning. It is time to go back to school, as it were.
okay. Yep. Good. I think he's gonna try to recall everything that happened last night. Can't think of everything, and goes and gets dressed and is really hoping that there's like steak and eggs or something for breakfast today.
Well, let's find out. No, unfortunately, today's breakfast is a little on the lighter side, but there are plenty of eggs, at least.
Good. Eggs, great.
Eggs and assorted fruits. Which will... The eggs will certainly help. But
Nice.
as my poor roll says, you only gain 3 temporary hit points from today's breakfast.
Understandable. That's fine. He will be grateful for the eggs.
Yes. And so, when you head to the Bard classroom, it is a different atmosphere when you enter. Not wholly strange, but instead of the high energy greetings that you usually receive, Tally, who is currently like waxing one of her instruments, looks up and she says, "Oh, hey, Tom, welcome back."
Hey, Tally.
It's good to see you again. Why don't you go ahead and take a seat and we can get started?
Yep. I'm on it.
You can tell everyone is insight checking you.
Yeah.
How is Tam doing?
I'm gonna roll deception. That's how I'm doing. That is a natural 1, and I love that for me.
That's how it goes.
He's trying so hard to cover up that he still feels real bad. Like, I mean, I think with a natural 1, like, it is not difficult to tell. Everyone this whole time has been like, "Don't blame yourself, Tam. You can't blame yourself for this." Like, it is clear from his face.
He blames
He
himself.
still blames himself.
As when you sit down in front of one of the pedestals that music is normally written upon, Tally walks over, and she presses an empty page of music paper. And she says, "Do you know what the best thing about tragedy is?
Good music comes from it.
Not just good music, but for us, the best spells come from it."
Okay.
How do you feel about making your own spell, Tom?
I can do that? I didn't know bards could do that. I thought that was a wizard thing.
Tally kind of narrows her eyes at you, and she says, "Of course we can do that.
Okay.
Someone had to make all the first ones, obviously."
That's true.
And then she, taps the paper, and she says, "I believe you are likely inspired, or at least as inspired as you're going to get. And if I'm wrong, well, that doesn't happen. So, you are going to write down some music, and then you're going to push the emotions that you feel that align with that music into the paper. Does that make sense?"
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Good. And she just kind of, points at you as she's walking back toward her, the instrument she was working on. And mechanically, you're going to make a spell for
What?
bards.
Whoa! I was not prepared for that. Okay, cool.
It is
how do
not the same mechanic as, say, a wizard.
Okay.
But it is similar.
Okay. Right.
And so,
How do I do?
well, first, we're going to figure out what sort of spell it is. Is it the sort of spell that you could use to guide someone to do something that you want them to do? Is it the sort of spell that you would use to try and change something around you? Or is it the sort of spell that is enchanting?
I think
If you know what I mean.
enchanting. Yeah, yeah. Is it like an enchanted spell? I feel like Cam. I think it would either be for him. It would be something kind of closer to like illusion and sort of like talking, help something to talk your way out of a situation. Or it would be something because of the way that he's feeling right now. It would be something like to defend someone that is close to you. If either of those are options.
Sure. Those totally work. Do you have a preference as to which way we go?
I think defensive magic is probably more what Jam is thinking about right now, considering everything that just happened.
Okay, so then here's the question. What sort of music does Tam write to go along with this defensive spell?
Ooh, I mean, my first instinct is for him to sort of like draw on the like basically the hymn, the same song. I feel like if it were a spell, it would have to be different. I think. Give me a second to consider this.
Sure.
I think if it's defensive, it's probably distracting. So it's probably like a reel or something on the fiddle. It's something fast and distracting and like kind of makes you want to dance.
So this is, in other words, similar to is like a reaction spell similar to Silvery Barbs, or is this the sort of spell that you would cast and then you just be playing the notes as a concentration spell?
What a good question. Um, I wasn't even thinking about Silvery Barbs, but I guess that's what I'm describing. Um, uh,
It
yeah,
doesn't have to be the flavor of Silvery Barbs. It can be.
but it could be the yeah. I think that would be kind of the vibe. I think that might be the vibe.
Okay.
Um, which I think the difficulty is I think I actually already took that might be a spell that he already knows from my having taken it.
Taking
Yeah,
Silvery Barbs.
I already took that spell. But I do really like. But I like the idea of being something that like this is a thing that I could. This is a thing I'm going to help you out with to try to distract you. I'm
Sure.
going to like try to hold somebody's attention to get them away from you in the turn order or something like so they will go after somebody else so I can keep focus.
So almost like a reaction sanctuary sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think because he has that like cleric vibe around him, that like a reaction sanctuary seems like a that kind of vibe. Either
Okay.
that or like a like whatever the equivalent would be of like a shield of faith or something like that, but for a bard.
Well, Shield of Faith just gives you AC.
Yeah,
Um, but if you're talking about protecting somebody else and as a reaction,
yeah. That's sanctuary, I guess, isn't it?
it is. Well, Sanctuary makes them have to succeed on a wisdom save, or they have to attack someone else. Um, it could be a more foolproof reaction, like, say, almost like a shield spell that you cast on someone else, where you
Yeah,
increase their AC for a
I love
period
that.
of time.
I love that. Yeah, that would be if that's a possibility. If we can like go off script of what the spells do, that would be perfect. Absolutely.
Sure, we can say you create a spell, a reactionary spell, that allows you to choose a target within like, what's the range of. Let's say, what's the range of Bardic Inspiration? Is it 30 feet or 60
I
feet?
think it's 60 feet. Let me check. If it's under bonus actions. Bardic Inspiration, 10 minutes, creature other than you. I think is it that you can see? Yeah, within 60 feet. Within 60 feet, they can
Okay.
hear you.
So if they can hear you within 60 feet, you can grant them an AC bonus of. Now, shield is limited in that you can do it to yourself, but the
Right.
AC bonus is 5 for the whole turn. We'll say for this spell, the AC bonus that you can grant to somebody else is 3.
3. That makes sense.
Just as
I
a
like
reaction, you can choose to bump their AC up by 3.
3 until the end of my next turn or something. I don't know if that's how
Uh,
it works.
well,
But
because it's a reaction spell, we'll say it's until the beginning of your next turn,
cool.
because that's when
Yeah.
you get another reaction.
That's when you get another reaction. I love that. That's awesome.
It also would not be concentration because it's just until the beginning of your next turn.
Oh, that's big. That's huge. Love that. What a cool mechanic.
So this, I imagine this music would almost be. Your original idea was for it to be distracting, like a sharp reel
Yes.
to get someone's attention off of a target. We'll say that that music, the what is distracting, also enforces an abjurative weave on that person. So they have basically it just makes them harder to hit mechanically.
Love
But
it.
the flavor of it is whatever you want it to be.
I think I think because we have this like weird cleric thing happening with him, I think maybe the abjurativeness, like I think it like Tam uh Tam plays his fiddle in this like particular way and it looks kind of like and for the time that the other person is shielded, it looks like that fiddler eye that is like in the middle of the fiddle for
Mm.
the symbol kind of blinks open over the person that's being protected.
Like above them or in front of them?
I was imagining above them,
Almost like looking down on them.
like looking down on them. Yeah,
Okay, that could be seen as terrifying.
that's true.
But I mean, it's up to you. Like, obviously, it can be as foreboding looking as you want. It could be completely harmless looking,
Well, I mean, I
or
think
hard to see even.
especially if it were like kind of in if not just the eye, but like also the fiddle, like the fiddle,
Ah,
like was also there because
oh,
that's
almost
the
like
whole
a brief illusion of
yeah,
the
like brief
symbol.
illusion of the symbol. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I get that. All right. And what would be the name of this spell?
What a good question. Uh, I mean, like musical shield seems. I will let me think about that. I think I might need some off screen time to think about that. Come up with
Sure,
snappy.
but what's the musical term for like a fortified note?
Like forte, like louder.
Okay, so like Temerity's Forte or something like that.
Yeah, that would be funny. Temerity's forte would actually be very funny.
I will let you obviously ponder about what the name of your spell will be. But we will make the spell and it will exist. So, now we have some dice rolling to do as we've come up with the spell. Now, spell making for bards is a little different than it is for wizards. In order to make the spell and then also be able to use it yourself, you have to basically learn the way to make the notes interact with the weave in the way you want them to. And it's a little different because in every other way that you make spells as a bard, you are just shown. You know, someone teaches you the notes that you play,
Sure.
and they make the weave do the thing. But in this case, you are the one weaving the notes together to affect the weave itself. So, first, I need you to roll me a performance. And as you are taking basically all day to do this, that performance will be at advantage.
That's not bad. That's 21, and
Okay.
that's worse.
Okay, so 21. That's the basis is set for how well you play it as you are trying to create this spell. Next, this is a little different. It's just a straight charisma roll.
Okay.
This is you and your willpower affecting the weave through your notes.
24.
That's good. Okay, so 21 and a 24. Okay, the last one. Are you proficient in forgeries, tools, calligraphy, painters, disguise, anything like that?
Weirdly, as a bard, you would think I would be, but I am not. I am not proficient in any like tools. I am proficient in flute, lute, and viol, and that's it.
Okay, just instruments. All right. In that case, I need you to just roll me a dexterity check. This is
Okay.
just yes. This is how legible your spell is for someone else to learn it. 16, good enough. You know how to write music. And the difference with making a spell for a bard, it's not just music notes. It's almost like you're trying to convey the emotions that need to be tied to the music for someone else to do it properly, which is weird, and it's something you've never done before.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
But
I'm
with
used
a
to writing outside myself.
yeah, with a 21, a 24, and a 16, by the end of the day, you have made a first level spell. The reactionary spell that you can use to protect yourself or an ally.
Incredible.
By the end of the day, and Tally's come by every once in a while to see what you're doing and to see how you're doing, but she has not, like, interrupted you. Excuse me one moment while I close my Steam, as someone just blew me up. I apologize. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. As you work on the spell, and Tally, at the end of the day, comes by, she says, "All right, what have you got?"
Well, I think I have something. I'm pretty sure I can protect a person that's near me.
That seems awful fitting.
I
That
mean,
suits you outright, I think, especially after what
Right.
happened. Okay.
village-
And she, like, is looking over the paper. And she says, "How does it work?"
Well, I distract him, and then I get some help, and the weaves together, and it protects the person. Theoretically, it's supposed to protect the person a little more than they would be.
In a split-second notice.
Mm-hmm.
"Norre, hit me." And Norre, like, is sitting on a stool, her face down in her own books, and she looks up and says, What? And Tally says, "Hit me! But only barely." And Norre looks confused. Tally just holds her hands out, like in a beckoning gesture, like the T-pose for dominance. Norre looks over at you and then back at the Tally, and she says, "Okay." And she pulls from her belt, not the rapier, instead, or the short sword. You see she has what is basically just a club. It's a simple wooden dowel that she swings at Tally. And I'm going to roll an attack for Norre. Okay. We said +3 for your spell.
We did, yeah.
Okay, that would actually save her here, so...
Amazing. I'll cast Temerity's Forte to, like, little eye blinks open.
Name pending. As you
pending.
cast the spell, and Norre goes to swing it, it's almost as if she can't not look. There's something about the distraction, the lure of this magic, that Norre, it's almost like her shoulder drops as she looks up, and she just, huh? And the blow right past Tally's shoulder. And Tally, like, dips to the side and says, "Oh, that's perfect."
It's kind of effective, huh?
And Norre, like, looks back at Tally, and then at the club in her own hand, and then up at the symbol again, and she says, "What is that?"
It's the fiddler.
She looks over at you. She nods. "Okay." Tally says, "That is an excellent first day back."
Thanks.
I expect the fiddler will be happy to know you've incorporated him in your daily life now.
I hope so. I wrote him a song, too. He seemed to like it. I don't think I played it very well, but he seemed to like it.
You certainly know how to impress the right god, Tally says.
I mean, what do you mean?
Music.
Yeah, he's a music god. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine
If you
why
sing
would
a
he.
song to Nier, he's not going to care.
Well, I did sing a song to Tysus once, and he seemed real appreciative because not a lot of people sing to him in the Astral Sea. So, pro tip,
Tally blinks.
Tysus likes songs.
Okay, good to know. Uh, if I ever come across Tysus, I'll try an old lick of the shamisen. She
Yeah, yeah.
looks like startled that that had an effect. Um, anyway,
Ta- Tam does stuff that you shouldn't do. It's fine.
well done. I'm glad to see that you're back and ready to rock and roll as you were before. So, hey,
Yep.
you mind sticking back for a minute?
Yeah, sure. What do you need?
I just want to talk to you for a sec.
Okay.
And as the class ends and Norre and Yithrun both depart, Tally
Guidance.
is. Huh?
Guidance for you there on his way out.
Okay. He just, thank you, as he's going. Um, as you stay, and Tally kind of is seated on the stool that Nori was sitting on. She's leaning forward with one hand on her knee. She's looking at you. She says, look, I just wanted to check in because, how do I say this? I know you're new. You're like my newest student. And, I know you don't come from, like, the Drake Shore or the Helic Plains, like Norre or Yithrun. So, I mean, somebody dying is always rough, and I just wanted to see if you're okay to keep going. I would understand if you wanted to throw in the towel.
No, I don't. I want to stay.
You're sure?
Yeah.
There wouldn't be any shame in it.
Did I tell you that I didn't tell my family I was coming as a bard?
No. But, well, it's not really my business to ask.
You will be surprised to learn, I'm sure, that they're all clerics. They
No,
wanted
I'm not
me.
surprised at all.
Yeah, they wanted me to be a cleric,
Well, I'm glad you
and
missed that boat, because Treat can be super boring.
I mean, I love the god. I love the fiddler. Fiddler's not who they worship. So
Oh,
I came here, and that night I got back and kind of I wrote to my sister and I told her the truth. And she hasn't gone back to me. She's probably really mad at me. Everyone is probably really mad at me. And like not the way that people are mad at some people here. I mean, there are people here that are here for their lives. You know, I'm not going to pretend it's anything close to that. But I don't I don't think I really can go home now. And I want to see this through.
I see. Well, firstly, thank you for sharing. Um, I ever tell you how? Well, probably not. I don't think I've told any of the students this. You know the Merigard Academy was knocked over, right?
Not like stolen from,
Nah,
or like the actual building.
like destroyed. Like it was brought down to ruins.
Really?
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago.
That's not long ago.
No, not at all.
But
Um, we were in deep with some folks that were trying to bring back a demon. Um, and a bunch of our contracting teams were on the task, and they decided that we were a problem, so they knocked it over. And the weird thing is, they did it with. They'd stolen some heavy equipment from Saris, and it was messy. Um,
so it wasn't like another dragon came. It was like they used they
oh,
used
they had a dragon too. Um,
oh,
they had a glass dragon, and that was a mess.
that sounds, yeah, not good.
Yeah, do you know what a glass dragon is? I didn't. They're invisible until
What?
they're. Yeah, they
They're
basically.
oh God.
You just can't see them until they're blowing molten glass on you. It's the worst ever.
That sounds very bad.
It was a nightmare. But that's not what the point of the story. Okay. Um, the Mara got knocked over, literally. And we rebuilt it 3 years ago. It was a huge group effort. It was expensive. Um, but a big part of that was when the Merigard got knocked over. It was a surprise attack. We lost a lot of students. We lost the old paladin instructor. We lost a lot of people.
Sounds like it.
It was a nightmare. And a lot of the instructors left. So we had to get new ones. And I'm telling you this because when you're in this trade, it's dangerous. And people die. And it hurts. And some of us can grieve like normal ass people. And some of us just drink our pain away. And when you came in, I could see you were a little. I could tell you were 3 sheets to the wind yesterday. And I want to make sure that the pain you're dealing with, you deal with it the right way. Through music. And, your friends. And if your friends want to get fucked up, go get fucked up. But don't go get fucked up because you want to forget what happened.
It wasn't. I didn't do that until yesterday because Sagona wanted to go out, and I don't want to forget Kana. I didn't know her very well. I knew her for like an afternoon, but other people knew her. And Tally, what was a bard for except to sing the songs of the people that aren't here anymore?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't think I really had a good reason to be here before, but now I do.
Wanting to become something is a good reason.
Yeah, I guess. I just wanted to be different than my family.
You've
But
all,
now,
I don't even know your family, and I can tell you you're different than some humdrum clerics that don't follow the fiddler. You're way more interesting. Are you kidding me?
you're a bard, of course you think I'm more interesting.
Well, what? Okay, just for the sake of argument, who did they follow? Who do they follow?
Magos.
Yeah, that humdrum. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, Tam, nothing
I
like
don't,
him.
I don't like to read. I don't like to read. It's not a good childhood for a kid if you don't like to read.
It's true. That's kind of his whole spiel, isn't it?
Kind of the
The
whole thing.
passing on of knowledge and magic and through the legends and lore, and you can see how she's like her voice is taking on Tavernax in a bit of a mockery. Look, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're one of mine. Okay,
I'm glad to be one of yours. I'm not. I feel like I'm maybe not ready to be as cheerful as I was, but maybe that'll come back someday.
Maybe.
In the meantime, did Persh tell you that like there's maybe a war with KO? That's like another reason that I maybe don't want to go home right away. Cause
Yeah, I heard there was a staff meeting last night that was really dark.
yeah, Maxwell knew about it before I did, right? Please tell me Maxwell knew about it before I did.
She looks at you and she says, I'm not really in the habit of lying to my students, so I'm
That's
just not
really
going to say anything.
that's really scary.
I can't really tell you a whole lot. That's not for you to know as a student. If you
Yeah,
were,
no.
when you graduate, you can know, like, the nitty gritties. But right now, all I can say is we're okay. We're not in danger here in Ferrum, probably.
Okay.
Is your family close to the border?
Is my family? I feel like yeah, right? Are they not?
If they're in Kota City, not at all.
Like, not. Okay, my family's in Kota City. Probably fine.
Okay, they're fine. They probably it's probably just as surprising news in Kota City as it is here, from what
Okay.
Maxwell said.
Well, it's not good news, but there's nothing that I can do about it. I mean, I guess if there is good news, it's probably you're maybe about to get more recruits.
It's funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
Persh asked me how many more students I could handle. I
Yeah.
said like one, but that's because she like looks around the room and she says, I don't have that many extra instruments and there's only 4 chairs in here and I don't want to go get another.
Yeah. Well, you know, um, I'm I'm not I haven't been here very long, but I'm happy to help if it can help.
Good. Also, a lot of the other teachers, they lose students. I haven't lost a single one because I'm the best. And anybody else has a problem with that, they can just get over it. If someone signs up to be a bard, they see it through to the end because this class rocks.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I don't know what I don't know what the other ones do all day, but I don't feel like they don't get to do nearly as fun stuff as we get to do.
They bust their ass and train and condition, and that's exhausting.
We get to play music.
Sometimes exercise is important, but you know what? When we're dealing with that, when we have missions that we have to do a 3 mile run, we'll deal with that when we get to it because
Mm-hmm.
we have horses for a reason.
True. I agree.
Anyway, if you want to be a fitness nut, then you can hang out with Norre.
Yeah, well, she seems like a really particular kind of bard, huh?
Yeah, yeah, she is. Um, the the old the old armies up from Terracona call them Blade Maidens, so
That's
you
pretty cool.
you see why.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very cool name to be.
Yeah, she talked about it like it was a position of honor, and I kind of get it.
Yeah, uh, it takes a lot of training, I bet. Is she like people anymore? I haven't talked to her in a minute.
Does she like? I mean, no.
Okay.
She
Well, we had a couple, like maybe a couple of weeks ago, we had kind of a good moment, and it seemed like she was opening up a little bit. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe.
she's a donut on the inside once you get past that crusty exterior.
I wish she would let more people see her like that.
You just gotta know her.
I think she thinks she's less good at talking to people than she is.
Maybe. But from what I can tell, I think Norre doesn't have the patience to see people for what they are and sees them instead as what she thinks they are.
Huh.
And so when she goes out in the bars and she sings for people, there might be people that genuinely appreciate the music she's singing. But she doesn't see it that way.
She thinks she's just working for porn.
Yeah. And that's a shame. I'm working on her.
Maybe I'll convince her otherwise.
If there's one thing I know about bards like Norre, nobody can convince her of nothing. You're going to have to let her figure it out on her own. But you can guide her. You know, kind of implant the thoughts in her head.
Okay. I can do that.
I could use the help. She's a tough cookie.
Me too. I like her. I'm happy to.
And then there's Yithron, who likes everybody. I wish every bard could be as easy to work with as Yithron. He's just got those big old paws that are hard to work strings with.
He'll get it. He'll get it. I give him a little bit of help sometimes, and he doesn't really need it, but it's just to show him that, you know.
No, he's quite the lyricist.
I'll bet. I bet he is.
Anyway, I'm glad that you're doing okay. I was worried about you.
Thanks. I think it'll take a little while, but it'll be okay in the meantime. Sagona and I are gonna go make an offering to Dilo for Apollo.
That's a good call.
Yeah. I gotta go meet her, though, so.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
Anything? Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
And as you leave, let me pull up the front here. Taunus is not there. As you head up to the front lobby, you see Sagona is hanging out by the large benches. She looks up as you head in and she says, "It's about time."
Sorry, I had to stay after class.
Oh, you in trouble again?
No. Tally just wanted to make sure I was okay.
Oh. Well, all right then. Okay.
Thanks.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
I have a couple ideas.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me.
That's the
You're
plan.
leading the way, though. You're leading the way, though, because I don't know where I'm going ever.
All right, there's a couple places I want to try. And she heads out. As you head out into Farum, let me pull up the map. And firstly, I need you to roll me a d8.
Amazing. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm constantly rolling d10s. I should be rolling d8s. Ah! I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I can see the d8 that you rolled, which was an 8. Okay. Roll me a d100, please.
Now I roll high. 75.
Okay. One moment. As you and Sagona are heading down the main road, you take a right past the Farum Market and heading up toward the Rain Road Gate. You discover, heading the other way toward the docks, is a procession. A group of people are carrying a casket. It is a solemn event that is occurring right now, and many people have cleared away from the road, and the guards that are with this procession gesture to you and Sagona to get out of the way as they make their way down the main road.
Yeah, step aside. But I would like to see if I can check out, like, do I get it? Can I get any sense of who this person is?
Roll me a perception.
Nope. 5. Sam is too distracted by the fact that there's more death.
Yeah. You see a banner over the casket. You make a note that it looks like it's a setting sun with 3 triangles around it.
Okay.
With a 5, that's the only thing you see. Because you are jostled out of the way by the procession. And the casket is long, dark brown, richly made, and you get the immediate impression of wealth. You think this was likely a nobleman, or maybe a merchant, somebody of high status around here in Ferrum, as they make their way down the Rain Road through the market. As the procession passes you, Sagona nudges you and says, "Who do you think that might be?"
Somebody fancy, I guess.
Well, I could have seen that.
That's pretty much how I could tell.
Ah, shite. And she kind of grumbles and pokes around, and then you see Sagona, nudges a nearby guard and says, "Hey, who died?" And the guard looks down at Sagona, and he looks a little... It was Captain Holmstrom. Pay your respects.
Holmstrom. This is different from the name of the captain that was yesterday's.
Yes,
captain,
completely different captain.
Right? Okay.
That was Captain Luden.
That was Captain Luden. Tam doesn't know the guards really, but will, bow his head and look respectful.
As Sagona's like annoying the guard gestures to you and says, "Be like a friend, honestly." And Sagona looks up at you and says, "Making the cleric look bad? It's fine." And she does tip her head as the procession makes its way past. And that's what you rolled.
Okay. Fitting, considering.
Yeah, that's how it goes. The dice tell a story. And that was your event. As you make your way up the Rain Road, Sagona leading the way past that procession, you head out the gates. You take a sharp left and you'll be making your way down along the stone walls of Ferrum. There are lots of small little homes out here. None of them seem too well off, but none of them look, poorly by any means. These look like the sort of homes that you'd expect guards to keep. Each of them look, either single story or 2 small story buildings. While they're just outside the walls, each one does tend to have a garden or a small paddock where they keep a horse or a cow and a goat, those sorts of things. You and Sagona are waved to by people just going about their business out these homes. And as you make your way, Sagona leads all the way down to the beach, just outside the walls. You're right near High Docks, but on the other side of the walls, which is interesting, because the way the High Docks cut away is it's almost as if they're up on a cliff. And the beach, you imagine trying to get around the wall into Ferrum, but from the beach, would be treacherous indeed, as the sharp rocks beneath the dock, where these ships are coming in and going out, they look precarious.
So it's like the wall isn't there anymore, but the rocks are there instead.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It looks like if you tried to swim, it would likely cause injury.
It would not be good. It would not be good.
Yeah. But Sagona immediately got her sabatons and armor and her boots just in the shallow water as she shuffles along the shore, and she's looking along this, and she says, "I'm looking for a nautilus. I think that would be perfect."
Do I know what a nautilus is? Like the shell of nautilus? Okay.
Just a perfect shell is what Sagona's looking for.
Or a pure perfect shell. I got it. Okay. Yeah. I'll help.
Roll me an investigation.
Can I guidance myself for this?
Yeah.
So that's not good, and the D4 will not help very much, but, you know, we're gonna do it.
You're doing your best. Sagona also rolls not the good. Okay. The two of you comb the beaches for a good hour and a half, and you don't find any shells, let alone a nautilus. The ones you do find are broken and cracked, and Sagona just, oh, I was worried this might happen. Okay. I have another idea. How do you feel about going into the woods?
I feel great about going into the woods.
Okay. Well. Excuse me. Duracon told me about a natural fountain that's out in the Allen Woods, and I thought maybe we might be able to find something around there.
Okay, let's go.
She nods, and the two of you make your way northwards into the Allen Woods. And Sagona's leading the way, and she says, if I remember right, Duracon said head north away from the Rain Road, and then turn east at the Ancient Oak. And she's like looking through the forest and looking for a giant old oak tree. She's gonna roll survival. Do you aid her in any way?
Yeah, I'll give her. I will, at the very least, give her guidance, but also try to like. Tam is not great at knowing where he's going, but he will at least pay attention. He actually, as I said, he is trying to pay closer attention to stuff.
Okay.
So this time he is gonna like. I think he would be less help before. He would just kind of like give her guidance and kind of be looking around. But this time he actually is gonna like try to figure out where they are.
Okay. So roll me a survival, and also I will roll a guidance D4 on top of this. Okay, that's pretty good.
He's not doing great. That's a 5.
It's the thought that counts. Sagona rolled pretty darn good with the help of your guidance. She is leading the way, and after what feels like 30 minutes of hiking, you come across a massive ancient oak tree. It truly is enormous. I'm going to change the map here, as you are in the Allen Woods in the evening. As you make your way through the forest, heading eastward beyond the ancient oak tree, roll me a perception check, please. I'll roll one for for Sagona.
Just nothing. Just a 6.
The dice say no to you constantly. It's a good thing Sagona's leading. Perhaps it's that you're lost in thought, or you're not even.
The task. I think the task itself is important to Tam, but also kind of heavy on him. And so he really is trying to pay better attention, but I think maybe it's like he's not used to it. He has not paid very good attention for most of his life. So this is difficult for him, and a new skill he's learning.
That makes sense. Do you think maybe that would reflect on how Tam is reacting to Sagona?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've been out on little missions before, and
Sure.
I think that, like, typically he just like she has a high survival skill. He just kind of relies on her to lead the way. And like there literally was a time in a session where I think he rolled a poor survival check and they were kind of following each other.
Yeah.
And she was like, LOL. But I think this time it would be clear that he really is trying to pay better attention, and like Sagona knows the story. Sagona knows what happened.
Yeah.
Like, she's really insightful. I don't think she needs to roll insight to know what Tam is.
No, she's a cleric. She can read Tam like a book in this
And
case.
Name is also not difficult to read.
Yeah, I notice he's not proficient in deception.
He is not, and that is on purpose.
Well, I mean, wears his emotions on his sleeve. As you are walking with Sagona out in these woods, and it gets quiet, Sagona would say, I'm glad you're out here with me.
I'm glad to be here with you. I don't want you to have to do this alone.
When I first came here, to the Merry Garden, I mean, not these woods, I, well, Connell was the one to show me around and made it feel like I was meant to be here. I think I had a bit of a crush on her, to be honest.
Sorry.
It's fine. These things happen. There's lots of myths that Nier says about those who die on an adventure or in battle. That those who die fighting, their spirit roils in the storm clouds above, and every lightning strike is them reaching down, taking a peek at those they've left behind. The thunder is them calling to those that they love. That's always nice to think. But there's so many other myths about the dead. It's hard to know which ones to believe and which ones not to.
All real.
I mean, they're all real for different people.
How do you think Kana would call to you?
Give me a great big fart, I imagine.
No, I'm serious. It's okay.
So am I. She always played tricks like that. She could just control gusts with her hands, and so she'd make it seem as though I ripped arse, even though I didn't. She thought it was the funniest shit in the world. And I admit, the first 100 times it was pretty funny, but after that it gets old. Anyway. I see her, well, I saw her as almost like a grounding point. No matter how bad my day'd been with the clerics, because fucking Sabratha can be such a bitch. No matter how bad it was, or how different our opinions are, or how poorly I handled the lessons Treat gave, I could always vent to Kana, and she would just make me feel like it didn't matter. You do that too. It's easy to talk to you. You're so easy. I appreciate you, Tim. That's all I'm saying.
Appreciate you too, Sagana. I told my sister once, I wrote a letter home, and I called you my best friend here.
Well, damn right I am. Anything else and I'd call you a liar.
Not very good at that.
I'm sure you could manage if you tried.
If I tried. Kind of interesting that she had a light touch and a light foot, but she was a really grounding presence for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, hug her from Sagana.
Oh, she returns the hug. It's a... You learn in this moment, if you hadn't already learned, that Sagona is a bear hugger. You are grasped and lifted up off the ground by this burly dwarf.
Love that for me.
As she hugs you and then sets you back down, she says, thanks. I needed that.
Yeah. If there's anything else you need, you talk to me, okay?
Oh, I will.
You can vent to me about the clerics. I don't know, like, your classmates very well, but I sure do know clerics pretty well. and there they can be a bunch of sticklers.
Well, Duracon's fine. Okay. There's two other cleric students, Sabratha and Duracon. Sabratha is a bitch, and Duracon is fine. I think he grew up in a soldier's family or something. They're both Dragonborn, so they both have huge opinions, and they can't keep them to themselves. But
Mm.
Sabratha is such a... I swear, if she were here, I'd put her head in the dirt. She's a cleric of Tyrus, and she's just so know-it-all-y. She, like, visibly clenches her shoulders and fists. She
Can I
acts...
insight?
Yeah,
Can I
go ahead.
insight? It's like what? Why? Why is she so mad?
Go ahead and roll an insight.
I'm just no. It's not.
That's a 1.
It's a one.
So Sagana has a lot of emotions, and she doesn't do very much to hide them. And in this case, you're just not sure what everything is coming across. There's a lot going on, and it's frustration, and it's irritation, a little bit of anger, and maybe just you catch a hint of admiration, but you're afraid to
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
Sagana goes on, and she says, she swears that she knows all the books of all the gods, and she tells me that I'm doing mine wrong, and I swear, oh, if I could, I'd shove a lightning bolt right up her arse. Don't tell me I don't know Nier's book like I'm not the one who brought it into the damn classroom my damn self. And she kicks a rock and it bounces off a tree and goes skittering down the woods.
I'm gonna put a hand on her shoulder and thaumaturgy, sound of thunder to calm her down.
Go ahead and roll me a persuasion.
I can no longer roll above a 6.
12. Sagona glances up at you and says, thanks. It's just, God, if she wasn't such a carcan arse. Alright. Like I said, though, Duracon's fine. He follows Vion? I don't know. God of War. He's all very much about the military and...
Like a very different, yeah, that's a different personality.
Yeah, but he's fine. He doesn't really... He's very dutiful. Does what Trait says always. And as Sagona is venting, you enter a clearing. The clearing in front of you is beautiful. It is rich and green. Even though it is pushing into the autumn, it is as fresh here as it could be. And in the center of the clearing, there is a natural pond that flows gently with just the tinkling of a creek. Except the creek flows upward into a gentle flow, as if there's a geyser underneath the stone and earth here.
That's wild.
The other thing that might catch you by surprise is around this fountain, and what Sagona immediately points to and says, "This is what I was hoping to find," are kite crystals.
What's that?
Well, as... Actually, roll me a history check for Tam to make sure he
Okay.
knows what these are.
That seems unlikely because he is very bad at history. Oh, of course, this is the one he rolls high on. 19.
A 19. You've seen kite crystals before. They are a popular purchase from the Magic Bag, actually.
The Griffin's bag? The
Griffin's Bag, sorry.
No.
They
Okay.
are crystals that are... Yeah. They are crystals of pure quartz. They are naturally shaped into little kites, and they float on air currents as they are infused with air magic.
Oh, that's perfect.
So they float in gentle streams around the fountain. You know them mostly as having been sold as magical components for certain spells, um, but they are naturally occurring. And Sagona approaches one and snatches it out of the air as best she can, which I need to roll her sleight of hand to see if she does catch one. Only just. She rolls a 16 and gets a very small one that she manages to catch. And as she holds it up, it kind of glints in the sun's light, and she says, "What do you think? Anything we
Are,
made a few?"
are we allowed to take these?
"Oh, boy, it'll... More of them will come out of the earth sooner or later."
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'll try to grab one too.
Roll a sleight of
Maybe
hand.
give a couple, maybe.
It's interesting in that it's trying to catch a feather that's falling to the earth, but it never actually drops. With a 23, yes, you get a slightly larger one, and it is very lightweight in your hand. It's impossibly light, actually. If you didn't feel its hard surfaces, you wouldn't realize it was in your hand.
Oh, wow. This is incredible. Okay, yeah, this seems like exactly right.
I had a suspicion, and Duracom was right, so I owe him a silver.
What's the suspicion?
Huh?
What was this? Oh, you had a suspicion that this would be right. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. I talked to Duracon about what we were doing, and he said this would be a good place to find something. So, he was right, and I owe him a silver.
What is this place?
I don't know. He just called it a natural fountain.
Can we? Can you give me like 10 minutes just to be here?
Yeah. I've got what we
I'm
came
gonna
for. She's like looking at the crystal.
gonna ritually cast detect magic to see if there's
Okay.
magic.
Yeah. Uh, it's peaceful here. It's very relaxing at this natural fountain. Roll me a perception check as you do it.
13.
13. Okay. That's not super great. Your detect magic reveals lots and lots of both conjuration and evocation magic, but none of it is solidified into any actual spells. You just get the air, the aura of those magics around you.
Okay.
It's almost as if someone had passed by with glitter pouring out, and that glitter is the magic that you're seeing. It seems as though the evocation magic comes mostly from the water that flows up from the geyser, but the conjuration seems to be all over the place.
Interesting. Can I roll religion on this too?
Yeah?
Get a sense of like, is this like a shrine or something? 17.
With a 13 perception, roll me an investigation as well.
Oh, that's better. 19.
A 19. Okay, hold on. Alright. With a 19, you look around. You're looking for something, especially with that religion roll, that kind of tells you what it is that you're looking at. This place is so out of place from
Seems like
anything
a
you've
shrine.
seen. And it could be a shrine, as you look around. Oh, excuse me. You don't see any obvious religious symbols. But with a 19, as you're looking around this glade, this small meadow that this fountain is within, you're looking in the soil and the grass, looking for anything that could glean some hint of information to you. You find something. nestled near the base of the fountain, just right above the pond. It's not in any place that's obvious. There is a stone. It's a hexagon-shaped stone with 3 lines on it. And you recognize, if this was placed intentionally, the symbol of Dorn, who is the god of rain.
Oh. Okay. Rain. Huh?
Harvests, agriculture, and the rain.
I'm gonna point this out to Sigona.
This stone is very small. You happened to see it, but the DC to see it was 18. So, Sigona looks over, and at first she doesn't see what you're pointing at. But eventually she does, and she goes, "Oh. Well, we just have to make sure we thank him before we go."
Yeah, I think especially if we're taking something for Dylo, I think we should. I'm gonna play him something, and maybe
You do that, and I'll say a prayer to the old man. Sigona sets her own holy symbol down away from the shrine, and then she kneels in front of the fountain. What do you play?
I play a song that has rain in it.
The Rains of Castamere?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
something basically like basically something like that. Not that because we're not in that world. But
Yeah, that's super
something-
dark. Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something like between like Rain Go Away and like and Rains of Castamere, but like if I had something at the top of my head, I would say what it was, but I don't.
That's fine. Go ahead and roll your performance.
Come on, give me something good this time. Please, please, please. That's a natural 20. Or no, is it not? It was not.
It's almost a natural 20. It's
Almost
20.
a
It's a
20.
19. It's still really good. So as you play, you hear Sigona say, "From one follower to a stranger, a friend of a friend. I do hope there can be peace up in those astral skies. We thank you and beg your forgiveness as we lighten your shrine of a stone and a promise." And as you perform that, you get this warm feeling, the feeling of the dawn, of the sun's cresting and almost washing away the cold dew of the frozen morning. It feels awakening, reassuring. And Sigona stands, and she looks at you as you finish the song, and she says, "I think that went okay."
I think so. I think so.
Well, we shouldn't overstay our welcome. And she,
No,
yeah, she picks her own holy symbol back up, puts it back around her neck, and she says, "Let's get out of here before he changes his mind." And with that, you head through the forest. That was a question.
Yeah, we had sorry.
Okay.
We had through the forest. I think Tam feels a little worried about taking something from one god to give it to another. And so I think he maybe spends this time sort of thinking about talking to Sigona about like how are we going to phrase this prayer.
Sigona would tell you that when the prayer that she told at the shrine was basically saying, "We're taking this to give it to another."
Yeah.
And it seemed as though you had a positive reception.
Okay. Cool. Good.
So you can still be cautious if you want, but Sagona seems to believe that you're in the clear.
Like, Saguna thinks we're in the clear. It's revealed. Tam understands that he's kind of cleric light, and she's the real deal.
Sagona is at least a cleric by training.
Yes. Unlike Tam has like a feat, but is not the real deal.
Sure. You make your way back to the forest, and at this point, I'm going to ask you for another survival. So I roll another for Sagona. She rolls a natural 19. Okay.
Oh, she's fine. I rolled better. I'm paying attention.
Yay! You do actually keep track of the route that you took this time. You find the way back to the ancient oak, and you're making your way back. And as you do, Sagona says, "So we talked all about my classmates. What about yours?"
Oh, haven't really hung out with them much lately. Ethrin doesn't seem to really want to leave the academy very much. Probably, because he doesn't want to scare people. And Nori, I don't know if she's warming up to me or not. I haven't really talked to her in a minute because I haven't been around much. I admire her a lot. I wish she admired herself more.
It seems like a much deeper conversation to have with her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she wants to have it with me, though. She's never really liked me.
Well, that's her fucking problem, then.
You know how everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, Tam, you're so easy to talk to." She always wants me to shut up.
I feel like I should fight her for it.
No, I think I've noticed there are some people that really seem to like my honesty, and there are a lot of people, including Persh originally, that don't really seem to trust it. They think because I'm telling them the truth that must mean that I'm trying to deceive them, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I think maybe the way that I am is rarer than I thought.
I'd say so. That's why I like hanging out with you.
Thanks.
It's refreshing, honestly. It's freeing. And you know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. I guess I like people a lot. And I think maybe most people don't.
That's a very sad way of looking at it.
Maybe. Maybe it's just that they've been all, I don't know, they've been burned more than I have. Maybe that's the problem.
I can see that. I don't much care for people until they reach out to me, I guess.
It's not hard to reach out to a person, though. You just look at what they're like, and you ask them about themselves, and then they say that they're into something, and you ask them about it. And sometimes they light up. And it's great to watch.
Why are your horns gold?
That's a non sequitur.
I just realized I never really gave it much thought. But every other tiefling I'd ever found, they're red or black or I guess horn colored.
It's my name actually is Golden Horn. I don't know. I think the family lore is that my dad dedicated himself to Magos after Magos, like, fell from the sky with all the other gods. And then, as a symbol of that covenant, my dad got golden horns.
Whoa.
I don't know if that's true. I
If
don't
it
know.
is, you've got Celestial in you.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think it's real. My dad just says stuff.
You know what my last name's Roe?
Why? You row a boat?
My family were sailors.
Yeah, that checks out. That makes sense.
Yeah. Tredonians. It's very deep.
Yeah, deep as the sea.
Oh, how'd you make that poetic? Oh, fucking bards.
I'm a bard, it's my whole job.
Alright, alright.
I
There
like
is a
passing-
much bigger story behind that, but I don't know it, at least not off the top of my head.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Did you row from somewhere important?
I don't. It's something to do with some family that was originally in Saris and then became Tredonian or something. I don't know. It's a dwarven clan thing. I never really cared to find out.
So wait. You don't care about the Dwarven clans?
It's not really my problem, is it? I mean, it's not going to turn anything out for me.
Oh, sure. I'm just kind of surprised because, you're the most dwarf pride person that I know.
Well, that's because dwarves are great.
I know that. I mean, I know that. But it surprises me that, you know, you're not really really into dwarvish history or something.
No, it's boring. It's all about greed and digging and trying to extort other people through wise tricks, and it's too political for me. I don't care.
Hey, we talked about this a long time ago, but you were talking about how Nier wants you to just kind of do your thing and be happy.
Yeah, to fulfill yourself. That's what Nier's all about.
And last time we talked, this is weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, have you picked your thing? Have you picked your thing? Do you know what your thing is that is fulfilling?
I think so.
What is it?
I'm not going to tell you.
Why not?
I can't. That's not how it works.
What do you mean?
I can't just tell you. I have to show you through my actions. That's what Nier's all about, too.
But, if you told me, I could help you.
Well, that doesn't really work for this.
Okay. Well, if I figure it out, can I help you?
If you figure it out and then can also figure out how to help me with it, then yes. But I don't see how you could.
I'm going to roll insight. And it's not going to help me, but that's what it's going to do.
Go ahead, yeah.
Not terrible, 19.
Sakona seems to be being honest with you. She's not hiding anything, so it looks like she genuinely thinks that she shouldn't tell you, and it wouldn't matter if she did. It wouldn't help to know, because it's something that she has to do.
But it's like a project, or is it like a goal?
It's a goal.
A goal.
Yeah.
It's a goal you can't tell. So it's like a.
Well, I guess I could tell you, but I'm not going to, because that's not how it works.
But. Okay.
Well, how would you feel if the goal involved you, Tam?
I don't know. I'd want to help you.
No.
Okay.
Tell you what, keep feeding me trolley cakes and maybe you'll be persuaded.
Okay. Let's get a trolley cake and do this ritual.
I like that order of business. And with that, you kind of pick up the speed as you get back toward Ferrum. As my throat is going, we're going to kind of abbreviate that part. We'll say you get to Farum and you do acquire some trolley cakes.
Sure.
It's a silver for 2. And
Yep.
as you devour them, they are sweet and delicious. And you have advantage on initiative rolls for the next so long,
Incredible.
which is super helpful. You return to the Maryguard Academy. On your way back to Treat's classroom. Sagona next to you, she says, "Right, I don't think Treat will still be... Well, he might still be in class, but I doubt it. He'd probably be at dinner. So we can just do this in peace and quiet.
Okay.
You know what you're gonna say?
I have an idea.
Good enough for me." And Sagona leads the way to the cleric classroom. Let me roll. Treat is not in the classroom. It is empty. Wait, hang on. Is that a 61 or a 91? Okay. Okay, it is not empty. There is a... There is a large dragonborn in here.
Oh no, can I tell which one from just the way that Sagona looks?
Sagona looks at ease, so you're pretty sure it's not Sabratha. It's Durakan. He is over by one of the shrines. Sagona just kind of nudges you and says, "It's fine. He'll leave us alone." And she begins making her way over to Dilo's shrine, which is a simple shrine with 4 bowls. Each bowl has a symbol within. And if you're aware of Dilo's symbol, it is basically the 4 elements.
Sure.
Holding up the kite crystal that Sagona grabbed, she looks at you and she says, "You got yours still? You didn't drop it because it'll float off."
I got mine.
Okay. Sagona says, "Let me go first, if you don't mind."
Yeah.
She kind of rests her stuff, like she takes off her hammer and her bag and her shield. She sets it all on the ground so that she's just in her armor and knelt in front of the shrine. Do you try and listen into what she says?
Nope.
Okay. She's fairly quiet. I will roll to see if your passive perception, which I think is like a 12.
Like it's like nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Sagona isn't quiet. I rolled a 1. Okay. Because she is... Well, no, she rolled a 1. You hear her say... Not that. Dilo, I hope that my friend is with you. I hope that she's keeping you quiet company, much quieter than she kept with me. And she is, you know, at least at peace. I hope that she knows we all miss her, as she is in paradise. I'm sure she is. We all miss her. We all loved her. I offer this in her name as a thanks to you for looking out for her. And she presses the kite crystal into the bowl, and you see that it kind of drifts around in the bowl but doesn't lift out of it. She placed it in the bowl with what's almost like a wind symbol in it. Thank you. And she stands up, picks up her things. All right, your turn. She rolls her shoulders, much cheered up.
Same thing. He'll leave all his weapons, and approach the shrine just with the crystal and without artifice. And we'll say it's something similar, but he will pray. I didn't know your child economist very well, but in the time that I did know her, she changed me. And I think I miss her too, even not having known her very well. And I hope that these will honor her as she would honor you. I put the crystal in the bowl. Same symbol.
Roll me a wisdom check with proficiency at advantage.
Okay. Insight. Oh, nothing. 9, 6. I'm going to use my inspiration.
Okay. You can re-roll the whole roll.
That is much better. Only one of those was good, but one of them was a natural 15 on the die, so.
A 19.
Yep.
The air stills. But not the way you typically feel when you'd pray to the fiddler Magos, or even the moments when you've reached out to Tysus. It's so different that it is almost jarring, as it suddenly feels like you're atop a mountain, or you're out on a vast plain and winds are catching at your ankles and the sleeves of your shirt. It feels like you are nowhere near where you were a moment ago, as if you're on some highlands, but around you, you are still in the shrine. As you focus, you hear, "I thank you for your offering." You feel a warm, uniquely textured hand kind of brush through your hair, as if combing through it. The fingers are almost the texture as if they were made of clay. It's very, almost unsettling, but just from how it feels like the hand is massive. But the gesture is reassuring. It is comforting as it presses through your hair. And as quickly as that happened, it is over.
And we'll try, before it ends,
Okay.
tell her I'm sorry.
Because you rolled a 19 and you made an offering, you would hear, "You have nothing to be sorry for." Nothing in this world.
He cries.
When the tears begin to flow, the hand pulls away from your hair, and you feel a massive thumb wipe the tear from your left eye. And you swear in your peripheral, you catch a glimpse of the thumb, and it is gold, bronze. It's not the color of flesh, and it is huge. But it also, in that brief glimpse, it looks perfect, as if sculpted. And as you are returned to the present, Sagona says, "You feel any better?"
I do, actually. I'm glad we did that.
She slams you on the shoulder and she says, "Good! Me too."
You feel any better?
Oh, yes. Oh. Like all weights off my shoulders.
Good.
Want to go get some dinner?
Yeah, but I don't think we should drink tonight.
That's the worst news you've said all day. Maybe just a little?
Maybe a little.
How about
But
I drink, you can teetotal?
how about you drink a little and I drink a little?
Aye, alright.
Look,
You'll drink a little.
hmm,
Right.
I don't mean little for a dwarf.
Right, you'll drink a little.
Then you'll drink a little.
That's
Only
what
a
I
little.
said, you'll drink a little.
No, no. Sagona,
Fucking alright, fine.
how?
I will
Look,
have a little.
good. Look, Tally told me that if you're in this line of work, there's a lot of death, and some people handle it by drinking.
That's not how I handle it. I
That's how you
drink.
handle everything.
It's dwarven culture. You can't. It's racist of you to
I'm
say
not.
anything otherwise.
No, I'm not being racist. I'm pointing out a pattern.
It's a pattern amongst all dwarfs, so that's
I
racist.
know. I know it's a pattern among all dwarves, but I don't want you to only have one way to handle something.
I have lots of ways to handle something. And the first way is a little bit of a drink. As I've said, I'd have a little. So
But please,
roll a persuasion check.
he just cares about his friend. 23.
I understand why you're doing it.
Oh, no, 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 I know.
Sagona says, fuck, fine. Fine, fine. Just a little. But I get to pick what it is.
Well, you get to pick what it is.
Alright. And she like chuckles
Oh,
as
God, no, no,
you
you
leave
don't.
the
No,
room.
you don't.
Nope, already said it.
No,
Let's go.
no, no.
Too late, no take backs. Already agreed.
No, I'm not going to drink turpentine.
I'm not gonna make you drink turpentine. What, you think I would do that to you? What am I, some sort of monster?
No, but like the stuff that you can handle and the stuff that I can handle are very different things.
I agree. Come along. And she heads out of the cleric room.
Fully
A
tricked.
pep in her step. And that is where we will end tonight's session.
Fully tricked.
Oh yes. I hope you had a good time, and to anybody listening, we love you, and I cannot wait to play again next week. I hope you all have a good night.